What do you say when somebody asks you the question, where are you from? No, where are you really from? Do you say your hometown, the school that you went to, the city that you grew up in, or maybe the country that you were born in, or the one your parents were born in? If, like me, you were raised in a place different to the place that you were born, you have to put up with this question a lot. I bring this up because you may have heard the news that German football superstar Mesut Ozil just quit the national team. If you haven't, you should, because it's a big deal. 29-year-old midfielder is one of the best players of his generation, and he even helped Germany win the World Cup in 2014. He's supposed to be a national hero, adored by millions and looked up to by a generation of young Germans dreaming to be in his shoes. Except, he doesn't feel that way, and that's why he quit. This is Buzz. Let's go. So here's what happened. Over the weekend, Mesut Ozil put out a 3-part statement on his social media, and it shook the football world. In it, he accuses the German media of racism and a campaign of discrimination that made him feel like he didn't belong on the team, and questioned his identity and commitment to Germany. He also accused the German Football Association of abandoning him and promoting the same racist attitude. If you don't know who Ozil is, here's a super slick sports montage I prepared earlier. Ready? Impressive, right? Now, Ozil really blew up during the 2014 FIFA World Cup, when he went from a promising player to a household name. He's one of Arsenal's superstars and a 5-time German Player of the Year. But then this happened.
Ozil has been in the spotlight for his off-the-field actions since this moment, posing with the Turkish president.
And people in Germany didn't like it. They really didn't like it.
Someone who does that is not German, and someone who does that should not play football for the German national team.
Such a photograph has a symbolic value, and it is definitely not what is needed at the moment.
It is clear when you play for Germany, you represent the country and the German values.
The photo of Ozil with Erdogan was a mistake. It is still a mistake.
It was only a continuation of the kind of media scrutiny he'd been facing his entire career. From being hounded to explain why he doesn't sing the national anthem, to being accused by older footballers of not looking happy in the German shirt. And if that wasn't bad enough, this also happened.
Song Heung-min, 2-0. Their World Cup is over. They are bottom of the group. They've lost 2 group games for the first time in history.
And once again, the media, politicians and prominent voices brought up his Turkish heritage as proof of why he did so badly in the World Cup. See, he's not really German. That's why he played so badly.
Naturwissenschaften!
Here's some background. There's about 3 million people of Turkish descent living in Germany. Most of them were brought over in the years following World War II to help rebuild the country. And when that was over, a lot of them decided to stay and settle. And it wasn't until 1995 that they were legally allowed to become citizens. But in recent years, they've been the primary target of far-right groups who've seen a resurgence in Germany. Mainly, it's been at the hands of AfD, the Alternative for Germany party, who recently became the first far-right group to enter parliament since these guys. Oh yes, charming bunch. They're now the 3rd biggest party in Germany and have run on mainly an anti-immigrant, anti-Turkish and anti-Muslim campaign. So when Mesut Ozil, one of the country's most prominent Germans of Turkish descent, posed with the Turkish president, it was a golden opportunity for them to seize on it and use it to push their agendas. As a result, Ozil lost some of his sponsors. He was turned away from his old high school that he was trying to do charity work for and left to fend for himself by the German Football Association that he spent his entire career with. Here's some bits of what Ozil said in a statement. If a newspaper or pundit finds fault in a game that I play, then I can accept this. What I can't accept are German media outlets repeatedly blaming my dual heritage and a simple picture for a bad World Cup on behalf of an entire squad. This crossed a personal line that should never be crossed, as newspapers try to turn the nation of Germany against me. I used to wear the German shirt with such pride and excitement, but now I don't. Racism should never, ever be accepted. The reaction to his statement and retirement have been mixed. He's gotten support from some of his coaches, his teammates, some voices in the media, but others didn't take it so well. The German football body DFB emphatically rejects being accused of racism, but says it probably should have done more to shield Ozil from it. But there's one thing in Ozil's statement that really stood out. I am German when we win, but I am an immigrant when we lose. If that sounds familiar to you, it might be because he's not the only footballer to say it. Karim Benzema said it about the racism he felt as a footballer in France. If I score, I'm French. If If I don't, I'm Arab. Romelu Lukaku said it too, about what he felt playing for Belgium. When things were going well, I was reading newspaper articles and they were calling me Romelu Lukaku, the Belgian striker. When things weren't going well, they were calling me Romelu Lukaku, the Belgian striker of Congolese descent. You might have seen the recent response from Trevor Noah to the French ambassador to the US, taking issue with him calling the French national team African.
Here's why it vexes me, to be honest. When they are unemployed, when they may commit a crime, or when they are considered unsavory, it's the African immigrants. When their children go on to provide a World Cup victory for France, we should only refer to them as France.
Now at this point, you might be thinking, well, that's not racism. It's fair for sports figures to be criticized, but they don't represent their country. Well, let me tell you about another person you probably haven't heard of. Adam Goodes. Adam Goodes is a former star of the Australian Football League, which is kind of like rugby if you only had to wear short shorts and singlets and you were allowed to punch the ball. Yeah, I don't get it either. But anyway, Goodes was one of the best and playing at his peak, adored by millions of fans. That is, until he did this.
Oh, Tippett he did too, so, but Goodes makes it 7 out of 8 from the set shots. So the war cry from Adam here.
Did you notice something wrong there? It looks like a normal goal celebration, right? Well, it's actually linked to a tribal war dance. And Goodes was doing it in response to some people in the crowd booing him throughout the game. It was a celebration with a unique twist representing Goodes' own cultural heritage, but it set off a national outcry.
Yes, Twitter has blown up with AFL fans calling the dance terrifying, hateful and disgraceful. Millionaire hot seat host called the war dance aggressive and violent.
Timing throwing a spear, a very aggressive action. It's me saying to you.
Goodes was accused of trying to spark racial tensions and called un-Australian. Except here's the thing, Adam Goodes isn't an immigrant. He's an indigenous Australian. Like, his people were there way before any of these guys showed up. Like 10,000 years before. So how could he be an Australian? And yet for months he was hounded by the media. His own team's fans turned up to his matches, jeered him for weeks on end. Eventually, like Ozil, he was forced to retire, turn his back on the sport that he loved because he couldn't take it anymore. Now, is that racism? I think it is. Maybe all of this rhetoric about citizenship and loyalty surrounding Ozil, Benzema, and Lukaku is really a convenient front for something else. Maybe what people are really trying to say is, you don't belong here. You're not one of us. I've talked about this before from a personal standpoint, about what it's like being a first-generation immigrant to New Zealand, but born in Egypt. About how I didn't always feel like I was welcome there. From being constantly asked where I'm from, to being stopped and searched for hours at the airport, knowing that all of my Muslim friends had to go through exactly the same thing, even though we all have New Zealand citizenships. If you strip away the outer layers of Ozil's story, the football jersey, the team, the World Cup, the stardom, underneath it all is this struggle for identity, for belonging, for wanting to be accepted in a place and to have it be proud of you just like you are proud of it, without conditions, without asking you to strip away all the roots that you already have, all the things that make you who you are. How do you live in a country that still questions your loyalty even after you win it, the World Cup? How do you ever feel like you're accepted in a society like that? This bowl has the weirdest things written on it. This bowl smells like diverse asses. I want a Russian accent. What? Bosnia is fake. I love your style, your look, but most importantly, your heart. Aww. I don't think this is... So cute. It's not my bowl, it's not meant for me. I'm just stealing someone else's compliment. All right.